Commander Vex'thor stared at the blinking red indicators across his bridge console with mounting disgust. The pride of the Galactic Alliance fleet, his beloved warship Celestial Thunder, was failing, and failing spectacularly at that. Status report, he barked, his silver-scaled fingers drumming against his command chair. Lieutenant Crix, ever the bearer of bad news, cleared his throat. Sir, primary power core is at 12% and dropping. Quantum stabilizers are offline. Hull integrity compromised in sections 7 through 13. And, he paused dramatically, life support will fail in approximately 47 minutes. Wonderful. Simply wonderful. Vex'thor's antennae twitched with irritation. And our nearest safe harbor? The navigation officer, a young ensign named Pel Ra, spoke up. The closest inhabitable planet is. Oh no. What do you mean? Oh no. It's Earth, sir. The bridge fell silent. Earth, that backwater mudball that had barely managed to send a few primitive robots beyond its atmosphere. The planet whose inhabitants still burned fossilized organic matter for energy, for stars' sake. Absolutely not, Vex'thor declared. Plot another course. Chief Engineer Zara Veen's voice crackled over the comm system. Sir, with all due respect, we don't have enough power for another course. It's Earth, or the void. A violent shudder ran through the ship, accompanied by the screech of tearing metal. The latest hit from their pursuers had found its mark. Vex'thor watched as another set of indicators turned from yellow to red. Sir Crix ventured, the humans do have some rudimentary repair facilities. Perhaps. Rudimentary? Their idea of advanced propulsion is burning chemical fuel in metal tubes. Vex'thor's scales rippled with disdain. They probably think quantum entanglement is some sort of mating ritual. Another blast rocked the ship. The lighting flickered ominously. Our core at 8%, Commander Zara Veen reported. We're losing containment. Vex'thor closed his inner eyelids, considering their options. Death by explosion, death by suffocation, or potential death by embarrassment on a primitive planet. At least the latter offered a slight chance of survival. Fine, he growled. Plot a course for Earth. But find us somewhere isolated. I refuse to land this masterpiece of engineering anywhere near their population centers. Who knows what diseases their crude civilization might carry? As Pel Ra programmed the coordinates, Vex'thor couldn't help but wonder if being destroyed in battle might have been more dignified. The thought of asking humans, for assistance made his scales itch. These were creatures who still thought digital watches were pretty neat. The Celestial Thunder limped toward the blue-green planet, trailing plasma and pride in equal measure. Through the viewscreen, Vex'thor watched Earth grow larger, its primitive satellites scattered around it like technological confetti. At least, he muttered to himself, no one important will ever know we had to stop here. How gloriously wrong he was about to be. The Celestial Thunder's landing could generously be called controlled chaos. Less generously, it resembled a drunk space whale belly flopping into a cornfield. The ship carved a half-mile trench through Nebraska farmland before coming to rest near the fence line of what appeared to be a military installation. Perfect landing, Vex'thor announced, straightening his uniform. Exactly where I intended. Lieutenant Crix, peeling himself off the navigation console, didn't bother hiding his eye roll. Of course, sir. And I assume the warning klaxons from the local military base are also part of your plan. Before Vex'thor could respond with appropriate command-level sarcasm, Chief Engineer Zara Veen's voice crackled through what remained of the ship's comm system. Commander, we have multiple system failures. The quantum core is destabilizing. And, wait, someone's knocking on the hull. Knocking. Vex'thor's antennae twitched in disbelief. With what? A stick. Actually, it's a wrench, came a muffled voice from outside. And you've got a nasty quantum cascade building up in there. Might want to vent your excess plasma before it goes critical. The bridge crew exchanged baffled looks. Vex'thor strode to the external camera display, which somehow still functioned. A human female stood there, wearing what appeared to be oil-stained coveralls, holding some kind of primitive metal tool. She was pointing directly at the exact panel that housed their failing quantum core. How in the 7 spiral arms does she know about quantum cascades? Zara Veen demanded. The human knocked again. Look, I don't mean to rush you, but that containment field's got about 6 minutes before total failure. I'm Alexandra Rodriguez, head engineer at this facility, and I really don't want to explain to my superiors why half of Nebraska got turned into a quantum pretzel. Vex'thor's scales rippled with indignation. This is preposterous. She's probably just repeating words she's heard in their primitive entertainment broadcasts. 5 minutes, 30 seconds, Alexandra called out. But hey, if you want to maintain your superior attitude while your ship implodes, that's cool too. I'll just start evacuating the state. Lieutenant Crix cleared his throat. Sir, the quantum readings are concerning. Fine. Vex'thor threw up his hands. Open the primary airlock, but maintain security protocols, and someone find out how this human knows about quantum mechanics. The airlock cycled, and Alexandra Rodriguez strode in like she owned the place. She took one look at their advanced technology and started laughing. Oh man, you're still using Mark III quantum stabilizers. Those things are more temperamental than a caffeinated chihuahua. She walked straight to a control panel, her wrench already in motion. You need to bypass the primary coolant loop, and... Now see here, Zaravine bristled. You can't just walk onto an advanced alliance vessel and start giving orders about systems you couldn't possibly understand. Alexandra raised an eyebrow, pulled out what looked like a primitive data device, and displayed a holographic schematic of their exact engine configuration. Want to bet? Before anyone could respond, the ship's sensors blared a new warning. 3 enemy vessels had just dropped out of hyperspace in high orbit. Well, Alexandra grinned, twirling her wrench. Looks like we get to do this the fun way. Quick question, how attached are you to these factory safety protocols? Vex'thor felt a headache building behind his primary eyes. The humans aren't supposed to even know what a quantum stabilizer is, he muttered. This is going to generate so much paperwork. 4 minutes till core breach, Alexandra announced cheerfully. So, what's it going to be, Commander? Want to stand on ceremony, or should we get crazy with some engineering? The enemy ships were descending through the atmosphere. The quantum core was failing, and a human was standing on his bridge, looking at his advanced technology like it was a hobby project. This was definitely going to generate paperwork. Chief Engineer Zaravine rattled off damage reports like she was reading a disaster novel. Quantum core at critical levels. Plasma conduits ruptured in sections 3 through 7. Primary shield generators offline. Secondary shield generators fused into what appears to be abstract art. And the cafeteria's food synthesizer is stuck producing something that tastes suspiciously like Earth Brussels sprouts. Alexandra Rodriguez, or Alex, as she'd insisted they call her, hadn't stopped moving since she'd entered the engine room. She ducked under sparking cables, climbed over fallen beam supports, and somehow managed to look both horrified and delighted at the same time. Your quantum containment field is being held together by hopes, dreams, and what I'm pretty sure is the alien equivalent of duct tape, Alex announced, poking her head out from behind a smoking control panel. Who certified this repair job? Vex'thor's scales flushed a deep purple. That would be the Alliance's finest engineering team on Centauri Prime. Really? Alex's voice dripped with sarcasm. Did they do the certification drunk? While blindfolded? During an earthquake? The ship's computer chimed another warning. 3 minutes until complete system failure. Above them, the enemy ships were beginning their attack run. Zaravine attempted another repair sequence, her fingers flying over the control panel. The quantum core responded by making a sound that Vex'thor was fairly certain quantum cores should never make. It reminded him of the time his pet Grixtal had eaten a power cell. Stop, stop, Alex waved her arms. You're trying to realign the quantum matrix using standard protocols. That's like trying to perform surgery with a sledgehammer. These are Alliance-approved emergency procedures, Zaravine protested. And I'm sure they work great on brand new ships in perfect condition, Alex replied, already pulling tools from her belt. But your ship is about as far from factory specs as my grandmother's lasagna recipe is from traditional Italian cooking. She thrust her primitive data device at Vex'thor. Look at these readings. Your quantum field is phase shifted by 0.3 degrees. The standard fix would tear the core apart. We need to think sideways here. Sideways, Crix asked, his antenna twitching nervously. Metaphorically speaking, Alex grinned. Though actually, tilting the gravitational field might help too. Commander, I've got a plan, but you're going to hate it. It breaks about, she paused to count on her fingers, 17 different Alliance safety regulations. Another explosion rocked the ship. Through the viewport, they could see the enemy vessels starting their strafing run. 2 minutes to core breach, the computer announced helpfully. Vex'thor looked at his failing ship, his worried crew, and the human who seemed far too comfortable with their supposedly advanced technology. Tell me your plan, but please, for the love of the 7 spiral arms, stop pointing out how badly we maintained our ship. Alex's grin widened. Oh, Commander, the maintenance isn't the worst part. Wait until you see what I'm going to do with that particle accelerator you've got gathering dust in the cargo bay. Zaravine's scales went pale. We don't have a particle accelerator in the cargo bay. Not yet, you don't. Alex Rodriguez sprinted through the corridors of the Celestial Thunder like she was running a very strange marathon. Behind her, a hovercart loaded with what Vex'thor could only describe as junk clattered along, occasionally dropping what appeared to be spare parts from Earth vehicles. This is madness, Zaravine protested, struggling to keep up. You cannot possibly intend to repair a quantum core with, is that a microwave oven? Nope, Alex called back cheerfully. That's our new particle exciter, the microwaves for making popcorn. Engineering's hungry work. They reached the engine room just as another blast from the enemy ships rocked the vessel. Warning klaxons blared with renewed urgency. 90 seconds to complete system failure, the ship's computer announced, somehow managing to sound both helpful and judgmental at the same time. Alex immediately began unpacking her bizarre collection of Earth technology. Okay, here's the plan. We're going to use the alternator from that Dodge Ram 3500 to create a magnetic containment field. The microwave magnetron will help stabilize the quantum fluctuations. And this baby, she patted what looked like a large battery, is going to give us the juice we need. That's a primitive chemical battery, Crix exclaimed. It can't possibly provide enough power. It's not just any battery, Alex grinned as she began connecting wires with frightening speed. This is from a Tesla Model S. Elon might be crazy, but he knows his batteries. We're going to use it to jumpstart your quantum core. Vex'thor felt his scales itching with anxiety. Jumpstart. Trust me, Commander. Sometimes the old ways are the best ways. Zaravine, I need you to reroute the auxiliary power through these cables. Creaks, start pulling those burned-out quantum stabilizers. They're just getting in the way now. The alien crew hesitated, looking to their commander. Vex'thor glanced at the tactical display showing the enemy ships closing in, then at the rapidly deteriorating core readings. Do as she says. What followed was either the most brilliant or most insane engineering work Vex'thor had ever witnessed. Alex moved like a whirlwind, combining Earth technology with Alliance systems in ways that should have been impossible. She attached the alternator to the quantum core housing using what appeared to be heavy-duty zip ties and duct tape. This is a violation of at least 27 Alliance safety protocols, Zaravine muttered as she helped connect the Tesla battery. Safety protocols are for ships that aren't about to explode, Alex replied, crawling under a console with a soldering iron. Besides, your safety protocols are the reason you're in this mess. Who designs a quantum core without a manual override? That's just asking for trouble. The ship shuddered as another enemy blast found its mark. 60 seconds to core breach, the computer reminded them. You know what your problem is, Alex continued, her voice muffled as she worked. You've got all this amazing technology, but you're so worried about using it wrong that you've wrapped it in layers of safeguards and protocols. Sometimes you need to let the machine breathe. She emerged, hair wild, face smudged with grease. Crix, hand me that laptop. The primitive computational device, Crix asked, holding it like it might bite. That primitive computational device is running a custom Linux build that's going to help us synchronize all these systems, Alex explained, typing furiously. Your ship's computer is too rigid. We need something that can think outside the box. 30 seconds to core breach. Zaravine's scales were practically vibrating with tension. This cannot possibly work. The power requirements alone. And that's why we're adding this, Alex interrupted, pulling out what looked like a small glass tube wrapped in copper wire. A little something I've been working on in my spare time. Quantum flux capacitor. Don't ask me where I got the specifications. Let's just say the internet is a wonderful place. 15 seconds to core breach. Alex connected the final wire. The engine room hummed with building energy. The Tesla battery glowed ominously. The improvised particle exciter, made from the guts of a microwave oven, began to spin. 10 seconds. This is either going to work brilliantly, Alex announced, or we're about to make a very exciting new type of explosion. Everyone ready? 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2. Alex slammed her hand down on the laptop's enter key. Let's ride. The engine room erupted in a cascade of light and energy. The quantum core, instead of breaching, began to pulse with a bright, steady glow. The ship's systems, one by one, came back online. Power readings, instead of dropping, began to climb. Vex'thor stared at the readings in disbelief. This is impossible. We're at 120% of normal power capacity. Turns out your quantum core was throttling itself, Alex explained, brushing off her hands. All those safety protocols were like a governor on an engine. Sometimes you need to remove the limiters to see what a machine can really do. Through the viewport, they could see the enemy ships preparing another attack run. But now, instead of being helpless, the celestial thunder hummed with power. Power generated by a combination of advanced alien technology and spare parts from a Nebraska junkyard. Now then, Alex said, settling into a chair and opening her bag of freshly microwaved popcorn. Who wants to see what this ship can really do when we stop playing by the rules? Vex'thor looked at his crew. Zaravine was studying the power readings with a mix of horror and fascination. Crix was gingerly accepting a handful of popcorn. And somehow, impossibly, their ship was more powerful than when it had left the Alliance shipyards. What rules, he finally asked, his antennae twitching with what might have been amusement. I don't see any rules here. Just a routine repair using locally sourced materials. The enemy ships swooped down like vultures, their weapons charged and ready to deliver what they thought would be the killing blow. Commander Vex'thor stood on his bridge, watching their approach with newfound confidence. Behind him, Alexandra Rodriguez was sprawled in the engineering console chair, feet propped up, still munching on popcorn. 3 Drachnid warships, Commander Crix reported. They appear to be charging their primary weapons. Let them come, Vex'thor replied. How are our systems looking? Power levels at 135% and climbing, Zaravine announced, her voice filled with disbelief. The quantum core is performing better than factory specifications, though I still don't understand how this is possible. Alex tossed another piece of popcorn into her mouth. You know how some people overclock their computers? Same principle, just with a quantum core and about 1,000,000 times more power. Speaking of which, want to see what else this baby can do? She tapped a few commands into her laptop, which was now somehow interfacing with the ship's main systems. The lights dimmed momentarily, and a new hum filled the bridge. What did you do? Vex'thor demanded. Rerouted power to the shields, Alex grinned. But not like your standard configurations. We're about to introduce these guys to something I call quantum resonance harmonics. The first enemy ship opened fire. Their plasma beam struck the celestial thunder shields and bounced back, catching the attacking vessel square in its bow. The enemy ship spiraled away, its front armor scorched and smoking. Did our shields just reflect their weapons? Crix asked, mandibles hanging open in shock. Not exactly, Alex explained, spinning in her chair. The quantum resonance creates a mirror effect. They're basically punching themselves in the face. Newton's third law of motion, but with some quantum shenanigans thrown in. The remaining 2 enemy ships split up, attempting to flank them. Vex'thor gripped his command chair. Evasive maneuvers. The celestial thunder responded like never before. The ship pirouetted between enemy fire with impossible grace, its engines pushing far beyond their designed limits. You know those safety limiters we removed, Alex called out. Turns out they were holding back your maneuvering thrusters too. Right now we're running on what I like to call full yeet mode. Full yeet, Zaravine questioned. Technical term. Trust me. The enemy ships launched a coordinated attack, their weapons converging on the celestial thunder from multiple angles. Alex's fingers flew across her keyboard. Time to test out our new offensive capabilities, she announced. Commander, your quantum torpedo launchers were criminally underutilized. Watch this. The celestial thunder's weapons came alive, but instead of the standard blue-white quantum torpedoes, these glowed with a strange, shifting rainbow of colors. What did you do to my torpedoes? Vex'thor asked, both fascinated and slightly terrified. Remember that particle accelerator we cobbled together? Well, it's not just for show. These torpedoes are now phase-shifted through 7 different quantum states simultaneously. I call them Schrodinger's torpedoes because the enemy ships won't know if they're hit until they observe the explosion. The rainbow torpedoes struck their targets. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then both enemy ships simply blinked out of existence, reappearing a moment later with their systems completely offline. Did we just, Crix began, temporarily shift them into a parallel dimension where their power cores never existed? Maybe Alex popped another piece of popcorn into her mouth. The physics are a bit weird. I wouldn't think about it too hard. The bridge crew stared at their tactical displays in stunned silence. 3 Drachnid warships, the terror of this sector, had been defeated in less than 5 minutes by their supposedly crippled vessel. "This is impossible," Zaravine whispered. "The power requirements alone should have torn the ship apart." "Only if you follow the rule book," Alex replied, standing up and stretching. "Sometimes you need to throw out the manual and improvise. Although fair warning, we might want to land soon. That Tesla battery isn't rated for sustained quantum field generation, and I'm pretty sure we're about to void the warranty." As if on cue, small sparks began shooting from the jerry-rigged systems. The power reading started to fluctuate. Alert. "Uncomfortably weird physics detected in engineering," the ship's computer announced, apparently having developed a personality during the battle. "Suggested course of action: run away now." Vex'thor looked at the defeated enemy ships, then at the smoking remains of Alex's improvised upgrades. "Plot a course for the nearest Alliance starbase. I believe we need to have a serious discussion about our engineering protocols. And maybe hire some humans for your RD department," Alex suggested innocently. The commander watched as his tactical officer tried to explain to Alliance Command how they had won the battle using Earth's spare parts and something called full yeet mode. Perhaps, he admitted, we have been a bit too rigid in our thinking. Behind him, the ship's computer started playing Victory by 2 Steps from Hell through the bridge speakers. Nobody questioned when it had downloaded Earth music. After everything else that had happened, it seemed perfectly normal. Standing in the Alliance Grand Council chamber, Commander Vex'thor felt distinctly uncomfortable. Beside him, Alexandra Rodriguez was examining the ornate quantum crystal chandelier with an engineer's gleam in her eye that made several council members nervously touch their personal shield generators. "Let me understand this correctly," High Counselor Renzar spoke, his ceremonial antennae quivering. "You allowed a human to modify classified Alliance technology with primitive Earth components." "Yes," Vex'thor replied, straightening his spine. "And this resulted in your ship exceeding its design specifications by more than 30%. Actually," Alex interjected, "we hit 150% at peak output. Would have gone higher, but the battery started making weird noises." The council chamber erupted in murmurs. Vex'thor noticed Zaravine, now appointed as the head of the new Human Alliance Engineering Initiative, trying not to smile. "But their civilization hasn't even achieved unified planetary governance," another council member protested. "They still argue about whether their round planet is actually flat." "With respect, Councilors," Vex'thor began, surprising himself with his own words, "I believe we have made a grave error in our assessment of humanity. Yes, they are chaotic. Yes, they are unpredictable. And yes, some of them have questionable beliefs about planetary geometry." He gestured to Alex, who was now scribbling equations on her notepad about the quantum chandelier's power distribution. "But they possess something we have lost in our pursuit of perfection. They innovate. They improvise. Where we see immutable laws of physics, they see suggestions. Where we see established protocols, they see starting points." "He's right," Zaravine stepped forward. "Our technology has stagnated because we're afraid to push boundaries. Humans? They look at a quantum core and think, hey, what if we connected this to a car battery and some repurposed kitchen appliances? And somehow not blow themselves up in the process," Crix added helpfully from his new position as Alliance Earth Liaison Officer. The High Counselor leaned forward. "Commander Vex'thor, are you suggesting we should allow humans access to our advanced technology?" "I'm suggesting, Counselor, that perhaps we need their help to advance it further. The Drachnids were defeated not by our superior technology, but by human innovation combined with our resources. Alex didn't just repair our ship. She improved it using parts from something called Home Depot and a device designed to heat nutrition packets. Speaking of improvements, Alex piped up, finally looking away from the chandelier. Your quantum bubble technology has so much untapped potential. Have you guys ever considered using it for faster-than-light pizza delivery? Because I have some ideas. The point is, Vex'thor continued quickly. Before Alex could propose more reality-bending fast food services, we need humans. Not as subordinates to be uplifted, but as partners who can help us see past our own limitations. The council chamber fell silent. High Counselor Renzar studied them for a long moment, his compound eyes reflecting the quantum crystal's light. Very well, he finally announced. We will establish a formal alliance with Earth, though perhaps we should start with their military and scientific institutions rather than their eating establishments. Probably wise, Vex'thor agreed, watching Alex sketch what appeared to be plans for quantum-powered roller skates. As they left the chamber, Vex'thor pulled Alex aside. I owe you an apology. When we landed on Earth, I thought your species was primitive. I was wrong, though I still don't understand how you learned so much about our technology. Alex grinned. Let's just say humans have been dreaming about this stuff for generations. Science fiction, we call it. Turns out, when you spend enough time imagining how something might work, you get pretty good at making it actually work when the opportunity arrives. Vex'thor's antennae twitched with amusement, and the quantum roller skates. Hey, if you're going to revolutionize the galaxy, might as well have fun doing it. Now, about that chandelier. Have you ever heard of something called RGB lighting effects? The commander could only shake his head and laugh. The galaxy was about to become a much more interesting place.